Right. We are live. Let's double check my audio. Today we got a sub-2 deal in Lancaster, California, 46441 140th Street. 2 bed, 1 bath. I saw this get posted, so let's just underwrite it just so we can stay consistent. Let's see, just a sub-2 deal. So we would be taking over the existing mortgage subject to the existing financing, which means that we're taking over the payments. We're not assuming the loan on this deal. It looks like it's a 2.75% interest rate FHA loan. So typically when there's an FHA loan, you do have to sometimes self-perform these close. Sometimes title companies will not take on a subject to transaction for FHA loans. So something for you to keep in mind, especially when you're thinking about hiring a transaction coordinator for your deals. Okay. Next up, we have, let's see, ARE 300K. Entry fee is $55,500. Includes your agent, assignment, and arrears and closing costs. That's pretty hefty entry fee. PITI 1630.24. That's a principal interest of $996, and then taxes and insurance of $633. Long-term rental is $1,800 to $2,000. MTR $2,500. Potential rent RV space due to a large lot. Okay, they're trying to get creative here. I see how they're trying to market this. All right. Next up is we want to go and take a quick look at this area. Here's a street view. Oh man, looks like it's in the middle of nowhere. And that's just a lot of land. Where am I? Let's see. Lancaster is northeast of LA. There's an airport out here, and this one's just all the way out there. Okay. Good to know. Let's just keep on going and let's keep analyzing deals like we normally would. We did a street drive-by. Let's see if I can look at some photos for this property. So it said it was built in 2021. Looks relatively new for the most part. You don't need to do any flooring updates because the flooring looks all new, no carpet. So I'll set aside some money for painting, but that's probably it. Love the street sign right here. Just written on. Love it. Let's keep on going. All jokes aside. Let's see. Are there any different photos on Redfin? Nope. Okay. Estimate. No one's estimate. Sold for $290,000 on October 1st, 2021. Redfin estimate $310,000. Okay, good to know. All right. Next thing we want to do is we want to Google the FMR. So that's the HUD FMR. HUD FMR. And we want to get the fair market rents for this property. Yo, Polly, you have subto under contract in Phoenix. Hey, yo, Polly, you could send me your deal in Phoenix and I can analyze it tomorrow. I just only have time to answer one. Hey there. How you guys doing? Hey, Andy. How you doing? I DM you, thought I missed out. Oh, no, Andy. I just do this at all random time. Today was family day, so I didn't get a chance to underwrite the deals until my daughter went to sleep. So here I am now. 8:30. I've analyzed deals as late as 11 o'clock at night when I was in Vegas for a conference. So I guess this is not the latest I've analyzed a deal, but this is still pretty late. But let's keep doing it together. 93535. 93535. So here we have the fair market rents by zip code, by bedroom count. And let's see. This is a 2-bed studio 1-2. So the ceiling rent here for this property is going to be $2,000. Let me write this one down. $2,000. FMR 93535, 2-bed, $2,000. And I just want to get the rents for the 3-bed at $2,600. Wow. Okay, this is a lot higher than I expected all the way out here. Maybe because of LA County. Not sure. All right. Next thing we want to do is get the market rents. So we're going to be looking at the market rent estimator. When you go to market rent estimate on affordablehousing.com, you can plug in the address. Whoops. Let's plug in the address right here. Copy the address. Plug it in here. It's a 2-bed, so we're going to plug it in right here. And we want to see on the far right-hand side what the average market rent is for. Okay, cool. It says on average within. Okay, I'm not surprised that the radius is so wide. I don't love it, but this is probably because it's a very rural area. So 25 units average market rent for the property that's 2-bedroom is $19.90. So that makes me feel pretty good that I can get the full FMR, which is $2,000, right? Because usually if it's a lot higher or a lot lower, there's a rent reasonableness test, which means that they will never exceed the fair market rent, which is the rent ceiling, unless you're in a very high cost area such as Boston, New York, San Francisco, maybe even Austin. I haven't really analyzed an Austin deal for quite a while, but that's something that you want to keep in mind of. Now I'm writing down all these numbers because my partner is already aware of how I analyze deals. So I'm going to write down all these numbers so that they are aware of what I'm doing. 2131 and then 3270. Okay. This is for a 2-bedroom. Just for fun, I'm going to get the rents for a 3-bedroom because what if there's space for me to add an extra bedroom? When I saw this property, I think it's pretty small, but yeah, I don't think there's an extra space to add an extra bedroom in here. Yeah. I'm not even going to get the rents for a 3-bedroom because it's not worth my time. Usually, if you see like a big living room area or something along the lines, maybe you can squeeze an extra bedroom, but I didn't see anything in the layout that quickly jumped out to me that I can add a thing. What website are you looking at the rent, not the FMR? I'm using affordablehousing.com. And if you go to affordablehousing.com, you go to the owners tab right here, and then you can see that there's a market rent estimator on affordable housing. Let me see if I can plug this into Instagram so you guys can see because it's more vertical here. You go to market rent estimator, that's where you're able to see that website. You can go to Rentometer, that's also another big popular site. You can look at, there's so many different, you can even go to Zillow if you really want. So let's see. 93535. 93535. You just go look at Redfin and you just look at for rent and you look at, doesn't matter, house or apartment, condo, it doesn't really matter. Let's do 2 bedrooms. And then you see right here, there's really not many rentals unless you're a lot closer to the airport area, which is concerning, right? So you're way further out there and all the rentals are over here in the city. So who knows if someone might even rent the property out there. So just a heads up, right? You might be able to get $2,000 as your assumption if you take a housing choice voucher, but just be careful. The demand for rentals are much closer to the city, not all the way out there. But you can also just check out Redfin if not. So from that point onwards, we have the FMR. So just to recap so far, right? We looked at, let's take a quick look at the crime score. I use a website called tophap.com, tophap.com. And I go to the neighborhood section. And when I go to the neighborhood section, you can see the crime index score. I live in an area where the crime index score is about an 88 or 90. This is 108. And again, this is in a very rural area. So I'm assuming the zip code just lumping in data or crime data with other sort of areas in this area. And it's based off of population. I can't imagine the population being that high around here, but something for you to pay attention to and just do a reasonable assessment about the market that you're looking at. I have never visited Lancaster. I'm just doing this to gauge whether it's worth my time to send someone out there to investigate further. Okay. So we got the fair market rents, which was $2,000. And we got the market rents here, which is also $2,000. So I can feel pretty confident I can rent this property out for $2,000, even though it's out the middle of nowhere. So there's risk here, right? Don't think that it's a guarantee. But you can always call them and ask them, hey, what's a wait list look like for Lancaster? And see what the demand is before you pull a trigger. All right. Next thing we want to do is we want to start popping in all the different numbers for this property. So let's go over here. Let's keep these numbers in front on the side. And then I'll plug in the numbers over here on so you guys can see a little bit better on Instagram. Sub-2 loan of $232,000, 232,000. And then our FHA loan interest is 2.75. So I'm going to plug this one in here, 2.75%, 2.75%. This was bought in October 1st, 2021. Okay. ARV 300 grand, 55 grand for entry. That includes the agent assignment and arrears. So I'm going to put in 55,000. Oops. And that includes closing costs. So I'm going to delete the closing costs right here. And if the rent is $2,000, let's plug this guy in here. And I'm using $2,000 because that's what I saw as the $2,000 FMR right here. It was only $10 difference from the market rent. So I'm very comfortable using $2,000 for now. Now, what am I going to get for this property? What's my purchase price? I'm going to use 290. I'm going to use that plus 287,000. I'm essentially just adding the $55,000 entry fee to the sub-2 principal balance for now. It doesn't really matter because right now it's not a hybrid deal, right? The seller isn't financing any sort of positions. This is just already everything that's used to catch up to your arrears and everything. So that's why I have $287,000 there. Now, $2,000 monthly income rent, and then I know my PITI is 1630.24. So I'm gonna go to my property tax section here. You go 1630.24, and I'm subtract the sub-2 principal and subtract the sub-2 one interest. And that's how I'm going to get my property tax number, which also includes insurance, but I'm going to bump up my insurance number by about $35. If the market rent is less than the HUD FMR, would you use the market rent analysis? Yes, I would. And that's because of the rent reasonableness test. The rent reasonableness test says that, hey, you cannot charge more rent to a voucher holder simply because they are a voucher holder, right? Because that would be unfair. And also, if you think about it from a government perspective, they don't want to overpay for rents simply because they are subsidizing the rents. And you also don't want people complaining that for some reason the voucher holders might be driving up the rents for everybody else in the market. There's just a lot of reasons, if you really think about it, on why you can't go above the market rent. Could you go above like $100? Probably. But you probably have to ask the housing authority, and every city and county's housing authority is going to be different. You have to ask them what kind of amenities do they take into account. Do they care more about square footage? Do they care more about bedroom count? Do they care about the number of bathrooms? Do they care whether or not you're in a gated community with a pool and a basketball court and a gym? I don't know. That's something that you have to ask your housing authority because they are going to say something different. And the best advice I got is, well, you just got to call them, create a great relationship with them. And if you're smart, make sure you thank the person that's helping you and answering the questions for you. And what I would do is, if you can, I would even ask them for the supervisor's email and let them know, hey, I want to email your supervisor to thank you for being so helpful and answering all my questions and being so complete with me and really helping me think through it. Because you have to remember, right? These folks might be working a thankless job and no one's really taking the time to appreciate them. They might be taking calls all day from people complaining about not getting their rentals. So just be the fresh air for folks. Be the breath of fresh air. Just thank them for what they're doing instead of being impatient. Yes. And then that's how you will build great relationships with the housing authority, or at least folks on the front line. So, all right. So back to this deal. Excuse me. I digress a little bit. We're going to set aside some money to paint the place. So let's see. This property was how many square feet? 1020. Okay. So this property was just built in 2021. So I'm going to assume that there's no roofing issues. I'm not painting an exterior. Don't need to install any windows. I'm going to make sure the landscaping is cleaned up. So I'm gonna set aside $500 for that while I get the property. There's no pools on this property. 1020. So I'm gonna set aside $3 a square foot to paint the place just for as a quick cosmetic item. And I'm gonna assume that I'm gonna replace the toilet as well. Usually people put in those cheap toilets. I like to work with high pressure flush toilets, and those typically have not resulted in any clogs for me. So that I really like that. And the no termite issues, no water heater issue, because I assume that it's a relative water heater. So I got a $6,000 total for my rehab right now. Excuse me, I added $20,000 because I was assuming I was adding a extra bedroom on the prior property that I analyzed. So I'm going to delete that $20,000 from analysis. So assuming $2,000 of rent for this property at 2 bedrooms, my PITI is X amount of the number that we talked about, 1665. I'm setting aside 10% of my rents every single month for maintenance and reserves because that's money that does not belong to you. Eventually, something breaks in the home. So do not ever tell a sophisticated investor, here's your cash flow. You take your gross rents and minus the PITI. That is how someone will know that you don't know what you're talking about. Okay? Because that's not true cash flow to you. That's money that you just got to set aside because something eventually breaks at the home. All right. Then property management fee, I'm setting aside at 8%, and I got 3% for my vacancy. Since it's a relatively new home, I kind of believe in that. However, at a 2-bedroom, assuming gross rent of $2,000, this will not cash flow. This would be a negative 85. So this is not a deal for me because a couple of items of risk that I saw. I did not like that it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. If you remember where it was on a map. Yeah, here's where it was. When we looked at the Redfin website, we saw that there's tons of rentals like right over here in this area. But as you went over to where the property was on the far right, there really wasn't much there. So that didn't make me feel good. That did not give me the warm and fuzzy. And on top of that, $2,000 rent also did not appeal to anybody because you cannot cash flow with the rentals as they are. Now, does it mean that can go up over time? Sure. But right now, I would rather deploy my own capital to somewhere else. So this is not a deal for me. And that's okay. It was just getting our practice in. It was staying consistent with all of you today. And just remember, this is part of the work. Getting the no's is part of the work. Analyzing deals are not deals. It's part of the work. This is the implied work of investing in real estate. You have to look at many deals. You have to analyze many deals. But on this one, to be honest with you, I probably would have stopped as soon as I saw the PITI when I went to the HUD FMR or the affordablehousing.com and saw what the rents are and compared that to the PITI. Because if there's not a big enough spread in there, if you think about it, right, I'm setting aside 10% for my maintenance, 8% for property management, and 3% for vacancy. That's 3% vacancy might even be low. Who knows? But if you take your rent and you subtract 20% just for expenses right away before any holding costs, et cetera, and you're not getting a good enough spread, like at least $300 or $500 cash flow a month, that's personally not a deal for me. Now, everybody's going to have their own investment criteria. I am not saying that my way is the only way. In fact, I would prefer if you copy what I did today, same property, same spreadsheet, just DM me on Instagram if you want a copy of the spreadsheet, and take one sentence I talked about or just one part of the analysis and do it better than I did. And then you can create your own YouTube channel and create your own track history of analyzing deals. And all of a sudden, when a partner asks you, hey, why do you think this is a deal? You can make them refer to your own YouTube channel and say, I know this is a deal because I looked at the past 100 deals and they were all not deals. Boom. And most importantly, you can look back at your own track history and give yourself that confidence to say, I know what I'm doing. Because it's really hard to pull the trigger. And I know how it felt when I first started. I was lost. I was lonely. I didn't know what to do. And had I found someone that was analyzing deals every single day that can follow along and also copy them exactly what they're doing so that I can build on my own YouTube channel, my own track history. This is really why I'm doing it. I wish something like this was out there for me when I started. So this is why I'm doing this out there for you guys. And I hope you guys would take this and run with it and do it better than I'm doing, because that's truly how we help one another. You all are supposed to help so many people in the world get into beautiful, affordable housing rentals. And I can't thank you enough, because without people like all of you, I would have never had the home I grew up in. So thank you so much for caring about affordable housing. I hope you take this as just one of the first steps towards your journey. And let's just stay consistent together. This is day 106 for me. And we're going to keep on going as long as we can. Have an amazing day, everybody. I hope you guys had an amazing Sunday. It might be a long weekend for all of you, but I'm still going to be analyzing deals tomorrow. So I will see you back here again tomorrow.